All right, people, it's another new breed reaction vid. Happy Friday. This week, we're doing Australia's own Void Division. Their new song, Dominatrix, just came out. They are signed to UNFD. I completely forgot that. So if you're into what the music that Tim and I like, we really think you're going to be into this one. So let's check it out.
Okay.
So what'd you think of that?
I fucking love that. If people listen, like we obviously do, like we're wearing the same shit. Obviously, we obviously do like a bunch of these in one night. 2 for fucking 2.
Yeah, it's fucking great, right? I mean, there's the female vocals over the chorus with that really like bass heavy tone is kind of like the shit you would have heard in like the electronic, when people were trying to rip off Nine Inch Nails or KMFDM, but they were trying to incorporate those elements, but they weren't doing it well. These guys do it really well.
If anybody knows me well, they know I am a sucker for female vocals like that. Like if a female can come on and just put out stuff like that. I mean, I'm assuming that female's not in the band, and I'm sure it was just somebody added to the track. But when you can get a female to do vocals like that, I'm a sucker for that stuff every time.
Yeah, it's really good. They have a very unique aesthetic. They have a very unique image. They tie in honestly, they tie in the genty guitar tone. They tie in some of the new metal riffing, right? Some of the new metal, the harmony. The drumming is not overpowering. And I listened to this once earlier today, and I had it on my one monitor as I was working on something, typing, and I kept looking over like, man, I really like this. So really, really good. You're right. We're 2 for 2 so far tonight.
Yeah, I remember listening to the EP before, I guess, whatever this is. I'm assuming this is I'm assuming since this is UNFD that they're putting a record out. But the EP before this I was really into. Excuse me. It was one of them things that were like where I didn't get enough time with it because there was so much music coming out. But I remember going back to it at one point and I was like, damn, I really forgot how good this was. And this is like a little bit different than what they were doing, but I think the direction that this is in right now is way more into where I fall musically, like my interests.
Yeah, they just did I think they just did a remix album, didn't they? And the guy from Loathe was on one of the tracks. That's how I found them.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, this is really enjoyable. If they put out a full album of this shit, I think there's a chance it gets big. I do.
Yeah. I mean, it's very catchy.
And
then I think bands are smart these days, bands like this, because they know that the younger crowd is huge with the moshy parts. And I guess younger people call breakdowns. I like to say mosh parts because it's what happens. It's a mosh part. You think about it. I think that adding the element where, because if you think about that band, Bring Me the Horizon, I was always like, no, but then I listened to the record and it's one of my favorite records ever now. That the record that they did in like 2019 is so fucking good. And the reasons that it's good is because it's super well written and it's super catchy. And I fucking demand that you listen to it because I know you're gonna like it.
All right.
But the reason I'm bringing that band up is I see a lot of that in that song right here. I think that the way that they're doing this stuff now, I kind of think they listen to a band like that and they go, you know what, like we could do that and do it just as good. And I think that's what the younger crowd wants to hear nowadays. They want to hear the electronic parts in there, and then they want to have their mosh at the same time.
Yep.
Because the younger kids, it's weird because when we were younger, we were just like, we're not listening to that stuff. We just want straight hardcore. We want straight metalcore. I think nowadays the formula is this, because the formula back then was heavy fucking verse, singing chorus. And then your bridge part was the mosh part.
And there was very tight dividing lines where this was hardcore, this was metalcore, and this was metal on the other end. Where now it's way more acceptable to blend influences from a couple of genres, and it's not really a big deal. Like, if anything, if you don't, you're kind of looked at as, okay, well, you're kind of putting yourself in a niche if you aren't blending a couple different references.
Yeah, I think the kids these days are smarter in that aspect, where we were just like, we can't do that stuff because people are going to look at it and go, eh. But I think nowadays it's the norm for me, and I think it's very smart what these kids do nowadays. And I also think the talent pool is a lot better right now than when we were younger.
Yeah, they've grown up practicing a lot more. It's the musicianship is higher. Yeah.
The internet and the availability of YouTube and tablature has made the music pool way bigger these days. And if you disagree with that, you're completely 100% fucking wrong.
No, absolutely. So. But yeah, so check out Void of Vision on UNFD. They're from Australia. Their shit's on Bandcamp. It's all over Spotify. So check them out. Hope you enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you next week for another reaction vid.